It's because people are just lazy. So, but that feeds into my other question I want to ask all of you. How big of an impact do you think family has on a man? Because I think we're speaking majorly to men. And what advice would you give to men who love their family and they know their family love them, but their family are not living the lives they want to live? The advice they're giving is not the advice they want to follow. Like, do you have any stories or do you have any advice, or what kind of impact do you think a negative family environment can have on a man? And what should you do in a scenario when his parents truly love him and truly care for him, but they're telling him to like put on a mask and go to college? What do you think about
that? Was me.
We'll start.
Oh, so there you go. So we have an interesting story coming up.
My dad has recently been telling me, since I've been getting into the red pill and getting to these ideas and fully devoting myself to this message, that now he agrees with a lot of what I say. And he's blue pilled. We can't talk about a lot of the things, but he did what 85% of the population did. Yeah. He went to college, told me to go to college, told all my siblings to go to college, but ultimately he did give up on his dream. His dream was to be a filmmaker, was to be a creative, and he decided to fully devote himself to his family. And for me, that gave me the opportunity to fully focus on what I wanted to do, because we came up in a good household.
Yeah.
He was there. He was a good inspiration. He was a good role model, just like your dad. Yeah. But I had to separate from a lot. I disappointed him in a lot of ways. Dropping out of school, dropping out of college, they didn't talk to me for a long time. Mm-hmm. Not taking what everybody else was taking, they were really upset with me. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat can relate. They ended up taking something that everybody else is saying, that you're a bad person, you're going to kill my grandma if you don't take this too. Yeah. So I think you just have to decide for yourself what's the best for yourself and make the sacrifice that you're going to upset your family eventually.
What about you, Walter?
So I had two examples in my life. Robert, because I guess it talks about rich dad, poor dad. So I have my real dad, which is basically deadbeat dad, but that's my dad. And I have my granddad. And growing up, I was supposed to follow the family blueprint, which is go to school, get a degree, to go to family business. But I saw my dad and I was like, damn, like he's pretty much just like living life, doing whatever he wants, but he's not responsible. But my granddad was like an anchor. He was like the one taking care of the family, took us on trips. He bought me a car, bought my mom a house. It's like, damn, he's the man of the household. So I had to make a choice. Who do I want to follow? My dad or my granddad? And I chose my granddad because for me personally, my dad would say, hey, son, I'll come pick you up. And he never would show up. My granddad would say, hey, son, I'll come pick you up. He'd always show up on time. So me personally is making a choice to say, you know what? Who do I want to be like more? My granddad or my dad? And I chose my granddad. So for me, it's just making a choice.
I think all of us have that voice in our head that tells us what we're supposed to be doing. If you know you're supposed to be great, that voice in you is going to tell you that. You can choose to listen to it, or you can choose to let the weaker voice inside of you suppress what you know you are meant to be. So as long as you listen to the voice that tells you that you're supposed to be great and you're supposed to be doing things that are bigger and better than what your family is doing, I think you're okay. Now you have to be strong enough to fight the suppression that's going to come towards you from your family. But once you decide to do that, everybody will say that it's dangerous until you've made it. Case in point, Sneeko. Your dad said, no, 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 no. And then you built the following. And then he's like, okay, I see it. Same thing with my dad. My dad was always, son, don't you think that's enough? Don't you think that's enough? No, no, no. Now he's like, son, I've never seen anybody work as hard as you. And he truly respects me. So a lot of times people don't believe in you until you finally arrived. So I think that's something very important to remember. In addition to that, I always say that suppression is wrapped in love. So a lot of times if people are uncomfortable with the things that you're doing, just remember that you are directly intimidating them by the actions that you took in spite of their inactions. Mm-hmm. So just remember that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I get this all the time. People message me saying, hey, my family's not supportive of what I want to do. And my family don't believe I should try and do this, or my family thinks I should go down this route. And my answer has been pretty generic so far, but it seems to be effective. I think the number one thing that especially parents are worried about when they see their children is they don't like the idea of seeing them be lazy. So people message me, go, I don't want to go to college. My parents want me to go to college. I say, well, have you sat down with your parents and explained to them what you're going to do with all those years instead? Have you sat there and said, look, I'm not going to go to college, but here's what I am going to do. I'm going to spend 6 hours a day doing this, 2 hours a day doing this, 1 hour a day in the gym. Across next year, I'll be doing this apprenticeship. I'll get this certification. I'll be able to go here and do this. Then I'm going to get this passport. I'm going to go here. Or if you just said, I don't want to go to college, and turn the TV back on. Well, then why do you think they want you to go to college, right? It doesn't matter what you do. I think if you're a child and you explain to your parents or all the people who love you or the people around you are trying to push you in a certain direction, to say, look, I have a plan. This is what it is. I have a finite amount of time on the planet. I'm going to dedicate it towards X. I'm going to make sure this is successful. I'm going to do it right. And you show competence and you show that you genuinely give a shit and you're up before them and go to sleep after them. They're not going to hate on anything you do. I think a lot of the people are saying, oh, my parents are trying to suppress me. No, what your parents are trying to do is inspire you to do something because you're a lazy fuck and you ain't doing shit. And I completely understand that if you have a fucking teenage son sitting around smoking weed, you want to send his ass to college. Like, what else is he going to let him do? Sit there and smoke weed? If you were genuinely up grinding